question 16, we're asked to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. We're given the organization's capital structure: 40% debt, 10% preferred equity, 50% common equity. We're given our interest rate on our debt at 7.5%, the yield on our preferred equity of 7%, and the cost of our equity, our retained earnings, is 11.5%. The organization has a tax rate of 40%. Calculate WACC. We're also given the information that the firm will not issue any new stock. So we'll start with our WACC formula. In order to calculate WACC, we can add together three components because our capital structure for this particular organization has three different components. We add them together. The first one being debt. We take the percentage of our debt, multiply that times the interest rate, and then we multiply that times 1 minus the tax rate. This last piece, 1 minus the tax rate. Companies are allowed to take a tax deduction on the interest that they are charged by their lenders. Okay, so in order to capture a true weighted average cost of capital, we have to account for that tax deduction. Okay, we add our preferred equity percentage times our cost of that equity, and we add our common equity percentage times the cost of the common equity. So I'm just going to input the values that were given in the problem. Okay, the cost of debt. Let's start off with our percentage, actually. So for debt, 40%, preferred equity, 10%, common equity, 50%. Okay. The cost of debt, it says the interest rate on new debt is 7.5%. So 7.5%. Preferred equity, the yield on preferred is 7%. 7%. Common equity, which is our retained earnings equity, is given, and it's 11.5%. 11.5%. For the debt portion of our capital structure, we have to account for the tax deduction that we're allowed to take on our interest. So we want to get 1 minus the tax rate, and that's what we're going to drop here. So I'm just going to say equals 1 minus the tax rate, which is 40%, 0.40, and that's equal to 60%. So in essence, this portion of the capital structure is capturing 60% of the total cost. Okay. So now if I use this formula, I take the percentage of debt, which is 40%, multiply that times the interest rate, multiply that times the 1 minus the tax rate, we're given 1.8%. Okay. For the preferred equity portion of the capital structure, we just multiply the preferred equity percentage by the cost of that percentage, or the cost of that of the equity. Okay, so we're given 0.7%. And for common equity, we'll do the same, where we simply multiply the percentage of common equity times the cost of that equity, and we're given 5.75%. So down here, we'll go ahead and add all of our capital structure components to get our weighted average cost of capital. We're given a weighted average cost of capital of 4.25%, which corresponds with answer choice D.